The model is the diagram that we are gonna use in order to explain a theory. And we already talked what does theory mean. So we are gonna, instead of using a written text, we are gonna use a diagram or symbols in order to explain any theory. And this is an example for the model. In this course, we have 3 types of models. We have action model, we have interaction, and we have transaction. So we are gonna explain them one by one. This is how the first model looks like. So we have sender, message, and receiver. We have 3 elements of communication. We don't have a feedback. So that indicates we have how many ways of communication?
One way.
One way of communication, that's right. We have one way of communication because we don't have a feedback. The receiver will not send a message or a feedback for the sender again. So we have 3 elements of communication. We have one way of communication. If we want the communication to be effective and successful, we need a strong signal. When I say strong signal, I don't mean the network only that we have it in our mobile phone or that we have it in our laptops. No, strong signals, it means I need the message to be clear. I don't need anyone to explain it for me anymore. Once I will see it, I will understand it immediately. When we will talk about the examples, you are going to understand it more and more. So I need what? A strong signal to understand the message clearly. The participants or the communication participants, people who they are in this process, or they are in the process of action communication, they don't need to be in a close relationship. I don't, for example, need to feel comfortable toward the traffic lights. I don't need to have a relationship, a close relationship with those people, with the sender. It's okay. The most things is I want to understand the message. Let's have an example. We have many different examples here. For example, when you receive a message from Omantel, can you send them a message back? Can you send them a feedback?
No.
No, you can't. So this is the first example. There is a sender who is Omantel, and they have a message. For example, your subscribe is ended. مثلا اللي هو الاشتراك خلص. And we have a receiver who is me or you or any customer of Omantel. So we can't, as a customer, we can't send message back to Omantel or to Uridu. We can't. So this is, we call it action model of communication. We have only 3 elements and there is no feedback. We have one way of communication. We have many others example. We have a newspaper, for example. They write the news, they send it to us. We don't have a choice, so for example, to give them the feedback. We have also the traffic signals or the traffic lights on the street. I don't need anyone to tell me stop when you will see the red light. I don't need anyone to tell me when it is green, move. Once I will be on a street, I will see a traffic light, I will see there is a red light, I will stop immediately. If I saw, for example, orange or yellow, I'm gonna be ready. That's mean my turn. If I will see it, for example, the green light, if I will see the green light, that's mean I need to move. So we call it action model of communication. Is it clear?
Yes.
Do you have any question about it?
No.
Okay, good. Good. Let's move to explain the second one. We call it interaction model of communication. Okay, this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. We have sender, message, receiver, and we have a feedback. So how many elements of communication there?
4.
Four, and how many ways of communication?
2.
Two ways of communication, because we have the feedback. So 2 ways of communication, 4 elements of communication. Now we need to talk about what do I need in order to make communication effective and successful. I need to feel comfortable. In the action model, I don't need to feel comfortable. I don't need, for example, to feel to be in a close relationship. No. But here, the opposite. I need to feel comfortable. We have interaction, or we will be in interaction model of communication, or it will happen when people know themselves enough to reply verbally or non-verbally. We know each other. For example, now I know most of you from section 10. I know most of your names. So there is a relationship. Now we know each other enough. We can reply verbally or non-verbally. Once we will start this lecture, I said, hello, good morning. One of the girls, she replied, hello, miss, how are you? I said, I'm fine, how are you? So we know each other, okay? We have the message, sometimes it won't be understandable or understood. So we need, the receiver will ask more clarification. The receiver will send the feedback if he or she didn't understand the message. Example, ways of greeting our friends. How I will say for my friends, hi. If I say hi, someone will say hi. So we have a sender, message, receiver, and there is a feedback, which is when the other person said hi. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, do you have any question about it?
No, miss.
Okay, good. Let's move to the third model of communication, which is transaction. Transaction in Arabic معناتها اللي هو تبادلي, which it means it's ongoing process. It won't stop unless we reach the same result. Because both me and you, we need to have the same idea. We need to have or to reach the same message. So it is ongoing process of communication where we have many ways of communication. I will keep asking you a question, you will keep answering me, or the opposite, until I will make sure that you understand this course or this lecture, for example. We have many elements of communication. If you check this model or this diagram, we have a sender who will encode for me. We call it encoder as well. We have a receiver, decoder. We have a message, a channel. We have a source, encoder. And again, here we have a receiver, decoder. We have effect. We have noise. We have a context, which is this box. We call it a context. So we have more than 4 or many elements of communication. Here we need to reach the same results, as I said. The most important thing is reaching the same results. I might change the picture inside your mind. I might create a new idea inside your mind. It is too complex, معقد, complex, but we need awareness. It's complex, but we need awareness. معقد، لكن احنا محتاجين ان نحتاج نوصل الى الفهم. Why؟ لان انت المحاضرة ما تفهمها من اول مرة. يمكن انت بعد بترجع وبتجلس تقراها مرة ثانية تترجم فيها عشان اللي هو ايش تفهمها. So it's complex, but we need awareness in order to understand it. This is the example. Example when the teacher explains the class for his students. They might have a question, they are gonna ask their teacher, and the teacher is gonna answer this question. So it is ongoing a process of communication. Now let's move to talk about communication competence. Communication competence is related to ability, when you will be able, when you can make communication by using your personality and the social manner. لما تستخدم معاي شخصيتك وتستخدم معاي اللي هو إيش؟ اللي هو الأشياء اللي تعلمتها من المجتمع. خلينا نقول اللي هو الأخلاق أو المبادئ اللي هو الاجتماعية. So you need to use these two things in order to make communication good, effective, and successful. Here we have, or being communication competence, which means you need to be responsive. Responsive, this one is a term, مصطلح, or a word, which means you need to see things from others' perspective, and you need to use empathy. Seeing things from others' perspective means you are gonna put yourself in their shoes, which is mean you need to feel like this problem or these things, it happened to you. What if you, for example, what if you grow up in that society? You will have, for example, their idea, their tradition. You need to use an empathy. Let's have an example. For example, in this universe, in this world, many people, they are believing in different things as a God. في معانا اللي هو مثلا نحن نؤمن إن في إله واحد. Some people, they are believing that anything move in this world, it's considered as a God. Some people, they are, for example, Christian. Some people, they are Buddhism. Some people, they are Jewish. So we have different religion. They have different ways to show their beliefs. For example, I grow up in a Muslim society, so I need as well respect their point of view, respect what is allowed and what are not allowed in their society. Another example, in our society, we cannot drink, for example, alcoholic, but in their society, it's okay. It's allowed. It's considered as a way to celebrate. ما تشوفوا في الأفلام لما يكون معاهم حفلات إيش يجيبوا كهدية؟ اللي هو الواين، الخمر، صح ولا لا؟ في مجتمعاتهم هم مسموح، مجتمعاتنا احنا ما مسموح. أروح أنا أقول لهم لا وما معقول وأجلس أجادلهم؟ لا، لازم أشوف من وجهة نظرهم. خلاص هذه ثقافته تسمح له، أنا غني عنه ويتصرف بالتصرفات اللي هو يريدها. I need to use my empathy. What does empathy mean? Anyone? Empathy? Okay. Empathy, do you know what does empathy mean? Okay. Empathy, when you are using your feelings, تعاطف، نسميها عاطفة. Okay. So you are using your feelings while listening to other person, while discussing anything with other person. Okay. For example, if Shahad, she has a problem and she will come to me, or she will go to Raya, and then she will start to talk about her problems. What does Raya need to do? She need to feel sad, at least respecting her and feeling sad with her. Raya, she should not laugh. يعني لما بتيجي شهد معاها مشكلة تتكلم مع ريا المفترض منها انها تحترم اللي هو شهد وايش وتكون على الأقل تظهر لها ان هي متأثرة حزينة، ما تجلس ذيك تتكلم عن أحزانها وعن مشاكلها والثاني جالسة والله تضحك معاي. So you need to use your empathy when you are communicating with people. You need also to be versatile, which is mean you need to be flexible and adaptable. What does flexible mean? Flexible.
مرونة.
أيوة ممتاز يا دانيا. معناته اللي هو المرونة. Adaptable معناته إنك إيش تتأقلم، التأقلم. So in this word you need to be flexible and you need to adapt to some of the changes. Also, while you are communicating, for example, if the other person, they are trying to, for example, convince you with a particular idea, you need to be flexible. Okay? For example, do we wear the same clothes that our mothers wore in the past while they were in our age? No. The life changed. احنا المجتمع تغير معانا. احنا ما نلبس مثلا الملابس اللي تلبسها امهاتنا في ذيك الفترة لما كانوا شابات نفسها مثلا. بس صار في ايش؟ في تغيير في المجتمع، والمجتمع العماني صاير ايش؟ فلكسبل، في مرونة، قابل انه ايش؟ يتغير، ما جالس والله انه ايش؟ ينتمي او يتمسك. They are not restricting themselves to the same tradition. No, we are allowing the change to become and appear. So this is the rest of lecture 1. Now I will move to explain for you lecture 2. Lecture 2, okay, this one. Lecture 2, where we are going to talk about interpersonal communication and interpersonal relationship. When we can say, we are also going to talk about the analogies of communication, the factors of attraction. We will talk about interpersonal communication theory as well. But at the beginning, I want to ask you, okay, I want you to write for me, each one of you, or to say it as you like, 3 things you like to see it in the other person who you are communicating with. Did you get my question? Oh, thank you. I want you to write for me 3 things about the things that you want, for example, in Miss Fatima to have while she's communicating with you, or with your friend, or with any person you meet in your life. What do you want to see in that person? What attracts you? ايش الاشياء اللي تجذبك في الشخص الثاني او الطرف الثاني who is communicating with you, اللي يتواصل معك. يلا يا تعطوني اياهم شفهيا او انكم تكتبوهم اللي هو في الشات بورد. Let me see.
Miss, focus with me when I
Good.
speak.
حلو، ممتاز يا أروى. Respect، ممتاز يا سهام. Be understand me، حلو يا أبرار. Smiley، حلو هاجر. What else؟ بس
And
هلا
interact with me.
That's good، ممتازة يا أروى. Listen to me، حلو يا وعد سيف. البقية إيش؟ Honesty، okay good. Attention with me، حلو. Okay. Thank you so much to those who they answered the question. So be friendly. It's on the street. Be friendly. Okay, that's good. Hello. Share to speak. ماشي. Okay, nothing specific for Shahad. Speak English for Shog. Share to speak for Siham. Okay, thank you so much. So there are many things that attract us in other person. He must be honest, يكون معي صادق, he respect me. For example, we have some people, they care about his or her fashion. For example, I need him to be from my age. Some people, they communicate with people who they are from similar religion or similar tradition. All of these things, we are going to talk about it later on. First, let us start by talking about the relationship between the communication and the health. Communication and health. Do you think there is a link between communication and health? Communication affecting our health or not? Yes, okay. And how it affects our health? Okay, good. So communication, it's affecting our health, the sound, okay.
Or eyes, maybe.
Hello, Yusra. Okay, so communication has a big link to our life or to our health. When we don't The sound will be tired. Okay, good. When we talk to other people, we feel like we are happy. There are someone to ask about us. We feel like we have a relationship. We have someone, for example, to share our sorrow with or our sadness with. So communication have a big link with our life or with our health. If we have a communication or if we make communication, that means we will have a good health. Less communication would that mean weak health. Okay, so especially in our societies, a collective society, a society that depends on collectivism, which means we are living in groups. We care, we are having a big family. We are having brothers, sisters, for example. In some houses, we have 6 brothers. In some houses, we have, for example, 7 sisters. So we have someone to share, someone to communicate with. Communication, it might cause you a lot of disease. لازم يكون يأثر فيك أو يسبب لك العديد من الأمراض. For example, it can change the biochemistry of your tissue. Okay, and also it's gonna, when you are communicating, your blood pressure, it will be normal. When you are having a less communicating, because you will keep thinking and communicating with yourself only, so your blood pressure, it will be high. Blood pressure اللي هو المقصود بها اللي هو ضغط الدم. So yes, exactly. So when we are communicating, the blood pressure, it will be normal. When we are not communicating or we have less communication with other people, that means the blood pressure, it will be high. Also, there are 2 facts about communication I want you to know. The first one, if you made less communication, you are gonna die earlier. Okay? If you are communicating with other people, and there are lots of studies about that, if you are communicating with other people, that means you will feel comfortable, you will have a good health. That means you are gonna live for a long life, longer at least than those who they make less communication. The second fact, it's about being isolated. Now I want you to understand, what does isolated mean? Have you heard about this word? Isolated. No, okay, good. Isolated, it means when you are being alone. When you are, yes, بالضبط, ممتازة. So you are alone. أنت لحالك في عزلة. Okay? So when you are being isolated, what will happen? It's equal to death because of cardiovascular disease. The cardiovascular disease, it's the heart disease. لما أنت تموت أو تكون اللي هو لحالك منعزل, you are being alone and lonely, what will happen? It's equal, يساوي اللي هو أو الموت من الوحدة, كأنك أنت إيش؟ ميت بسبب اللي هو أمراض القلب. So communicating, it's affecting our health in different ways, بطرق مختلفة, okay, in different ways. Now let's move to the second slide, which is about the communication analogies. Now communication analogies, it's equal or similar to اللي هو models of communication. We have 3 analogies. الانالوجيز معناتها اللي هي الألعاب, الgames. So these games, they are gonna explain for us the model of communication in more details or in a simple way, so that we can understand it in a good way. Number 1, we have bowling. Of course, all of you, you know how to play bowling. We have table tennis, and we have charades or charades. I'm gonna show you a video here. For that, I didn't put a picture. Let's start by talking about 10-pin bowling. Okay, اللي هي لعبة البولينج. I think it is this one. Yes, this one. When you are gonna explain this game, first of all, draw it. أعطيني رسم توضيحي. ليش؟ لأن نحن نتكلم عن المودلز. فالمودلز أنا تكلمت اللي عبارة عن دايجرام، والدايجرام عبارة عن بيكتشر، عبارة عن اللي هو chart، أو عبارة عن اللي هو sign. So number 1, you are gonna draw. Maybe you can draw better than mine. So I have the sender, I have the message, and I have the receiver, which is the bowling, the pin of the bowling. Okay, so this is number one. You are gonna draw it. Number two, you are gonna explain it by joining between the game and the communication, or the game and the models. So you will explain what you see here. So the ball, which is the message, okay, it will roll down in the lane, which is the channel, and reach the pin اللي هي receiver. So I have three elements of communication. Or maybe I will not mention the channel. I will mention the sender, the player. He will send the ball, the message, to the pin. So I have a receiver, I have a message, and I have the sender. So I joined between what I see and communication. I said the ball, which is the message. I said, for example, the lane, which is the channel. I said, for example, the pin, هذه, which is the receiver. So this is what I'm seeing here. Then you will move to say or to talk about what is the most important things in this process. Okay? ايش اهم حاجة معاي انا هني عشان يصير معاي اللي هو الكوميونيكيشن، عشان اضمن ان هذا وصل لهذا. ايش المهم؟ اللي هو البول which is the message. لازم تكون معاي الكورة وين تروح؟ إذا طلعت هني ما بتضرب، وإذا طلعت هني ما بتضرب. لازم أضمن إنها تروح لي في هذه القناة مباشرة عشان توصل معاي البين. So the most important things here is the message, which is the ball. Okay, I need to make sure that it will go or it will roll on the lane in order to reach the receiver. So this is the most important things in this, for example, analogies. No need for a relationship. No need for a relationship between the sender and the receiver. كيف بكون أنا في علاقة مع اللي هو هذه العلم تبع البولينج؟ محتاج إن أكون في علاقة؟ لا والله ما محتاج. أنا كل اللي علي إني أستمتع بحياتي أو اللي هو ألعب وأرسل معاي الكورة عشان تضرب معاي اللي هو هذه العلب اللي موجودة هنا. So no need to be in a relationship. No need for a relationship. طب هذا إيش أي اللي هو موديل يشبه؟ The first one, which is هذه action model of communication. It is similar to action model of communication. As I said at the beginning, the analogies, it's explained for me more and more in a simple way the models of communication. For that, I need to talk at the end or to write at the end which model it looks like. لازم في النهاية أذكر تشبه لي أي موديل، الأكشن، interaction أو transaction. وبما أن معانا هني 3 elements of communication and we have no need for a relationship, that's mean it's similar to action model of communication. Is it clear? The first one? The first analogy?
Yes, Miss.
Okay, good. So this is the first. Okay. So this is the first analogy of communication, which is we call it a 10-pin bowling. Okay. Number 2, we have a table tennis. Of course, you know it. Table tennis. Okay. This is a picture of table tennis. Now let's explain. Okay, this one. Again, I draw it first. I have 2 players. I have a net or the table here, and I have the ball, which is the message. What I will do, again, I will explain what I see by using اللي هو those elements and the game, and by linking it with the communication or the models of communication. So I have this one, as you see here is player number 1, and this is player number 2. A player number 1 will send, or player number 1 who is the sender will send or hit, بيضرب معانا أو يرسل معانا the ball with this one, which is the message, over the net اللي هي الطاولة أو الشبكة الموجودة معانا هنا, which is the channel. النت أو الطاولة table, it will be the channel, and it reach the player 2. This one, who is the receiver اللي هو معنا أصلا المستقبل. And he, this one, player number 2, will hit the ball again. لما بتجي الكرة ايش بيسوي بقى؟ بيضربها مرة ثانية عشان ترجع اللي هو للمرسل for the sender. Will hit the ball again as a feedback. To whom? To the receiver. بيتحولوا بهالحين. This one will be the sender and this one will be the receiver because he sent it back. He sent the feedback to player number 1. So it has some problem. This analogy, it has some problem. Let's talk about the problem. Number 1, the table tennis is controlled while the environment is not. How? The table tennis, it will be inside a complex, inside, for example, a room. In that room, I'm going to control the air, I'm going to control the lights, the amount of light, I'm going to control the noises, sounds. So I will control everything to help the player to send or to play this game. But in our real life, in our environment, we cannot control the things around us. If me, for example, Bashir, Ayub, Muhammad, we were, for example, and Dania, we were, for example, a restaurant. And there are lots of people in that restaurant. We cannot control them. ما نقدر نقول للناس سكتوا احنا بنتكلم فقط. ما نقدر نسيطر عليها، ما نقدر نتحكم بدرجة حرارة اللي هو مثلا المطعم. No, I have no rights. But in the table tennis, the environment or the اللي هو weather, it's controlled. Number 2, we have no distractions like wind. But in real life, we have a lot of a problem while we are communicating. وهذا اللي تكلمنا عنهم اللي هو المحاضرة اللي طافت. We said we have a physical problem, we have a psychological problem, we have a semantic problem. But in this game, we don't have any problem. There is only a ball. They are gonna hit it forward and hit it backward, in order to finish this game. But in our real life, no, we have lots of a problem. As I said now, there is only one message in this game. But in real life, we have more than one message. We might sit together in one of our classroom. We will talk about communication, then we will talk about our family, then we are going to talk about religion, about tradition, about your English class, for example, about your friend. So we have many topics to talk. So that means I have many messages. But in this game, we have only one message. It's similar to interaction model of communication, which is the second model of communication. Is it clear? واضح?
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, Miss.
Thank you. Now we are gonna talk about shreds. Shreds. Do you know that game when you are playing or acting words without saying any words, you are just moving your hand?
Yes. تمثيل.
اللي هي ايوه اللي ايش نسميها لعبة ايش بالعربي؟
ولا كلمة.
ايوه اغلبهم يسموها ولا كلمة، في بعضهم يسموها اللبيب بالإشارة يفهم، وفي بعضهم يسموها هزر مثل ما قالت البنت الثانية. هذه اللعبة. بيتم اللي هو الناس اللي ايش تسوي؟ تهزر لحد ما توصل اللي هو للكلمة اللي الطرف الثاني جالس اللي هو يمثلها. خلونا اللي هو نشرحها زيادة. So we have here player A, he's gonna act some words for his team. Now those people, they need to say the same word. All of them, they need to reach the same result. Let's explain it. So we have player A try to explain by acting to his friends اللي هم B ديلا without any word. بدون أي كلمة، ما ينطق معي ولا كلمة. The team in return need to guess what he tries to say. Those people, they will try to understand what player number A or player A try to say for them. What is the word that he is acting. So they will keep guessing. بيحاولوا إنهم إيش يسووا؟ يخمنوا معانا أكثر مرة. Tries hard and hard until they reach the same result. So communication is complex. It's messy. بيكون messy because you cannot control the people while they are guessing, and you need to understand. They need to understand each other. Understanding is important for both parties, for player B or player A. They need to understand each other. It's similar to transaction model of communication. The last one. Okay, this is for the analogies of communication. Let's move to define the word interpersonal or the interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication, we call it ongoing process. عملية تبادلية مستمرة. This process, it might use verbal and non-verbal message. I have two choices to use, whether I want to or for example, I want to use the verbal message or I want to use the non-verbal message. Why do I need to do that? In order to create or alter an image in person's mind. You have an idea about communication in your mind. I might change it. Alter. Alter, this is a word, it means change. Or I might create a new one. Maybe you don't have an idea about communication, so I'm gonna create a new idea for you. So this is, what does interpersonal communication mean? Now, when we are talking about interpersonal communication, ما معناته أي تواصل نعتبره هو interpersonal communication? No. We need what? To shift, to move, transmit from impersonal to interpersonal communication. All these files, I'm going to upload it for you in Blackboard or in Classroom. Okay? So at the beginning, we have impersonal communication. Impersonal communication. This is when you are communicating with a person according to his social role. This is the most important thing. What does social rules mean? His job. What he is doing in this life. Is he a taxi driver? Is she a teacher? Is he a doctor? Is he, for example, a nurse? What is his role in this society? So you are communicating with the people or with the person according to their job, social rules. For example, we will be able to know each other. Parties, they don't know anything about each other. أنا ما أعرف حاجة عن أيوب إلا أنه هو طالب، وهو ما يعرف عني حاجة إلا أن أنا أستاذة في الكلية، فقط ما نعرف عن بعضنا بعض. فإحنا نتواصل مثلا على اللي هو الدور الاجتماعي, social rule. Okay? Then we will move to cultural rule or cultural communication, الثقافي. Interactions occur when people connect with each other around the culture identities. Culture identities. هنا معانا social rules, هنا معانا cultural identities اللي هي الهوية الثقافية. الهوية الثقافية تتكلم عن إيش؟ It might be your religion, it might be your language, it might be the place, your country or your city that you are living in. It might be, for example, your sex, if you are a boy and you are girls. So the cultural identity, when it allows people to communicate better than this one, we have at least one similar thing. For example, me and you, all of us Omani. All of us, we are Arab. نتكلم العربية. For that, sometimes I'm explaining in Arabic, sometimes explaining in English. So we have a cultural communication. Some people, they are answering or writing in chat boards, for example, in Arabic. For example, هنا ريا أفضل مثال ولا كلمة كاتبة معانا اللي هو تقصد طبعا اللعبة. أوكي؟ فإيش اللي صاير؟ صاير هنا معنا تواصل عبارة عن اللي هو تواصل ثقافي في نفس الوقت. And the last one we have the interpersonal communication. Here I wrote the interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication. When we are communicating here, we are communicating as a person, as we know each other, we know lots of things from each other or about each other. Do we have anyone from Sharqiya here?
Yes.
Okay, for example, Arwa, خميس جمعة
Dowdy.
الداودي. So you are from Sur, right?
No, الكامل.
الكامل?
Yes.
Okay. That's mean, for example, I am also from الشرقية, for example. That's mean we have more than 3 or 4 things between me and Arwa. So me and Arwa, we know now each other, or we are interacting with each other as interpersonal communication. I was a student like you here in this college. Some students who they graduated, they, for example, they were in their foundation when I was in my final year. So we know each other. Then I came to teach in this college and I saw them again. So we interact. I was their teacher. I communicated with them as my social role. And for example, some of them, they were, I know some of them, I met them here in this college. So I communicate with them as cultural identity. And I actually, some of them, I live with them on the hostel. عشت معاهم بعضهم مثلا في السكن. فصار بيننا interpersonal communication. So I shifted from impersonal to cultural to interpersonal communication. Let's have a clear example about this one. من بضرب مثال خلينا نقول let's see here. Yusra Hamad. Okay. Yusra, she went, for example, to study in UK. In UK اللي هو بريطانيا. Once she arrived the airport, she ordered a taxi. When the taxi came, she told them, I want to go to Britannian Hotel, for example. Okay, so she communicated with him as a social role. He was a taxi driver. She told him her address, where she wants to go. It was impersonal communication. When he talked with her, she heard that in his accent that he's an Arab. لاحظت إنه في الأكسنت اللي هو في اللغة تبعه إنه هو عربي. فصار إنه والله اكتشفت إنه في حاجة متشابهة بينهم. They have one similar things. Both of them, they are Arabs. That means both of them, for example, they are Muslim, or maybe he was wearing a cap. يمكن كان يلبس معنا اللي هو الطاقية أو الكمة. That means she identified that he is an Arab, and then she started to communicate with him according to cultural identity. Then they started to talk in Arabic. After that, she discovered that he is from Oman, and he is from the same city where she came from. هو من نفس المدينة اللي هي جاي منها. فصار معانا هني تواصل interpersonal communication, because maybe he or she will know her father or her brother or her uncle, for example. So they communicated as one person. So they transmitted from impersonal, cultural to interpersonal communication. This is the transmission from impersonal communication to interpersonal communication. Now let's move to talk about factors. This is the last slide. We will talk about factors of attraction. هذه اللي سألتكم عنها في البداية، إن إيش الأشياء اللي تحبوا تشوفوها في الطرف الثاني while you are communicating. We have 6 factors of attraction. Number 1, we have proximity. It's related to the closeness, geographical closeness, which means if we are or we tend to communicate more with the people who they are from our city, or with the people who they are from our country, okay, we call proximity اللي هو التقارب أو القرب المكاني. Number 2, we have the similarity. Similarity. We tend to communicate with the people who they looks like us, similar to us in our age, similar to us in our sex, similar to us from our country, similar to us, for example, in the ways of thinking, in our certificates sometimes. Now I will ask you a question. If you enter a class, you will find a boy and a girl, and you are a girl. أنت بنت ودخلتي معنا class في بنت وولد. With whom you are gonna talk? مع من بتتكلم؟
مع البنت.
مع البنت.
مع البنت.
مع البنت، حلو. ونفس الشيء بالنسبة للولد، لو دخل وحصل بنت وولد بيتكلم مع هو الولد. لكن نفترض انه والله هذا الكلاس ما موجود معانا، مثلا اللي هو في عمان، موجود معانا في امريكا، مع من بتتكلموا؟
مع الكل عادي.
Here and boy.
with البوي. that's right. او مع الكل عادي مثل ما قالت البنت الثانية. هني صار معاي تضارب، في معاي similarity اللي هو في السكس we are both girls but there is proximity، في تقارب مكاني، واحنا قلنا هني نتواصل اكثر مع الناس اللي من نفس المدينة او من نفس الدولة او من نفس القرية، فصار هني معاي proximity. Instead of going and talking with, for example, American girl, I will go to talk with an Omani boy. It's okay because he is Omani. He is similar with me in my language, my country, my, for example, religion, my cultural proximity. So these two things, they came together. The third one is perceiving reciprocity of liking, which means the nature of a human life or the nature of a human, we can identify whether this person is hitting us or loving us. طبيعة النفس البشرية تقدر تحدد هل الشخص يكرهني ولا إيش، مثلا عادي شعر مرتاح أو يحبني، فأنا بتواصل أكيد مع الشخص اللي أنا أرتاح له، وبوقف تواصل مع الشخص who I dislike. So we call it perceived reciprocity of liking، اللي هو الإعجاب المتبادل أو الارتياح المتبادل. We will just talk with the people who we feel comfortable with people who they feel comfortable with us, okay, and we will stop or we will be careful with those people who we are dislike. Number 4, change in self-esteem. Have you heard about this word, self-esteem? سمعت المصطلح self-esteem؟
No.
Self-esteem, let me check maybe on chat boards with the girl. Okay. Self-esteem in Arabic means when you are respecting yourself، احترام الذات أو حب الذات. Okay. When you have a high self-esteem, you are gonna communicate with less people. When you have low self-esteem, you are gonna communicate with lots of people. High self-esteem, it's linked to ego. Do you know what does ego mean?
Yes.
Okay, اللي هو إيش معناته؟
الغرور.
أيوة الغرور. So high self-esteem, it means ego. It will take you to the ego. You will be مثل ما قالت صاحبتكم مغرور. فأنت الحين لما صرت مغرور معناته أنت بتختار القلة القليلة تتواصل معاهم. But when you have low self-esteem, that means you will be humble. That means you are going to communicate with lots of people. So this is one of the factors of attraction. Or sometimes we feel this person has lots of ego. He has a high self-esteem, so we will not communicate with him. From his walk, we can identify that. From his look, from his, for example, sometimes from his behavior. يعني أنا قدر أحدد هل الشخص اللي قدامي مغرور ولا لا عن طريق اللي هو نظرته، تصرفاته معي، طريقته في الحديث مثلا، فمباشرة أنا بتوقف أتواصل معه، مستحيل أتواصل معه مرة ثانية، أو بحكم عليه بقول والله فلان مغرور أو فلانة مغرورة. فهذه من ضمن الفاكتورز اوف اتراكشن. إذا كان كل مكان اللي هو الغرور أو حب الذات أو حب النفس اللي هو قليل، معناته إنه والله أنا بقدر أتواصل مع هالشخص. Number 5 we have anxiety when you are worried. When you have something to talk about. So when you have lots of things or you are worried about something, you are gonna talk with your friends, talk with your mother, father, with your brothers and sisters, for example. So you need someone to talk with. And the last one is isolation, اللي احنا معناها قبل شوي، اللي هي العزلة. When you are isolated for a long time, once you will be free, you will feel that you want to talk with lots of people. Why those people who they are in the jail, they are trying to escape. ليش الناس اللي يكونوا معنا مثلا في السجن يحاولوا انهم يهربوا؟ لأنهم يكونوا في عزلة. They are isolated from the surrounding environment, from, for example, from their life. So isolation is considered one of the factors of attraction, that it pushes you to communicate with other people, to communicate with your friends, for example, to go back to your normal life. These are the factors of attraction. Do you have any question? Any
No.
question?
No.
Okay, so this is the end of our class.